Hello?
Hey, it's my muse Sarah, and just in time.
Oh, are we playing Dungeons and Dragons?
No, actually, I'm writing my next book.
With dice and an abacus? I think you're doing it wrong.
Actually, it's a LitRPG novel. I'll explain after I figure out the right equation to calculate attacks. This is a little harder than I expected. Want to give me a hand?
Sure, let's do it.
The hero did -2 damage? Son of a bitch! That's what I get for buying a cheap abacus.
How about you tell me more about LitRPG and next time I'll roll the dice.
Good. I need all the help I can get. Hi, I'm David Peterson, and I've got angst.
Welcome to a special episode of Believe in Your Story. Today we're going to discuss the differences between LitRPG and traditional fantasy.
Hey, that was my line.
I'm your muse. Deal with it. And you were going to tell me about LitRPG.
Right. We should actually start with GameLit, which is an umbrella term for any story that happens in a game world or a game environment. Ready Player One and Jumanji are great examples of this. There are loads of subgenres that fall under the GameLit umbrella. LitRPGReviews.blog has a great breakdown of different subgenres. You'll find a link in the description below. Some examples are apocalypse or portal novels, where the heroes are transported to a world with game mechanics. Tabletop GameLit, with rules inspired by role-playing games, like Dungeons and Dragons. Books from the monster's perspective, or even the dungeon's perspective. Harem novels.
Hey!
And the popular subgenre LitRPG, which stands for Literary Role-Playing Game. It combines elements of science fiction and fantasy with game mechanics, like an mmorpg.
So like massively multiplayer online role-playing games like World of Warcraft or Guild Wars.
Exactly. In these books, a lot, if not all of the story takes place in the virtual world or the world with game mechanics. Mm-hmm. So not only do you get the adventure of a fantasy novel, you get the exhilaration of progressing in a video game.
Sounds like it's important to make that time in the virtual world feel like a game.
That's exactly right. So the book should have some level of progression, where it feels like in the story the character is gaining levels, becoming better at what he does. It doesn't have to have all game mechanics because you're not really creating a game. You're creating a game universe or a game world that the characters are telling their story in.
Okay, that sounds really cool.
If you think this sounds cool, please hit the subscribe button below.
Okay, so what kind of story did you write?
Entriss Online is a VR MMORPG, so some of the story takes place in the virtual world of Entriss Online, while the balance of the story takes place in the near future.
Okay, I think I'm getting this. Why did you choose to write a LitRPG novel?
So I've always loved playing games, and especially MMOs. I played Ultima Online, I played World of Warcraft Vanilla, I raided. Until my shaman had full tier 1 and tier 2. So, I've been doing this for a while. I was never really into the mechanics of the gaming, but I farmed my share of Dreamfoil to go raid Molten Core. The nice thing is with writing a LitRPG, you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get to write a fun fantasy story, but you also get to create your own MMO. For me, I also got to sprinkle in a little sci-fi, and that was a blast.
Sounds like fun, but why were you playing with an abacus?
I mentioned that stats are an important part of LitRPG. Some readers want crunchy books that are numbers-driven, some skim over the numbers and just want a good read. It feels like a moving target. Not only is it a challenge to create mechanics like stats and damage equations, it's equally hard to make them relevant. I worked hard to make the hero's progression in the game a part of his character's development. There are stats, but you always wonder if more is better.
Sounds like you need to follow your own advice and believe in your story.
Have you tried writing LitRPG? What were some of the challenges you faced? Hey, weren't you going to roll the die? Muses.
Entriss Online by David J. Peterson is available now. Level up on ebook, print, and soon audiobook.